Hello again, it's Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Nice to be back. I'm going to talk a little bit about Cole Porter today, the great Cole Porter, my favorite composer of all composers, and not just because he's a composer, but also because he was a great lyricist. He did both. And his music is really unusual. And I remember when I first tried to play his songs, there were just lots of little gnarly details that just didn't quite register in me, didn't quite make sense, that you didn't see in other composers. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the song, I particularly like the song Night and Day. I think it's an unusual tune. And I was just kind of thinking, like, well, why do we learn music? Like, why are we learning notes? Are we learning chords? Are we learning songs? What are we actually doing here? And I think what we're really doing, what I'm doing, is that we are inculcating in ourselves an ethic, something that we believe in, and it's a way of being, a way of living. It's kind of a way of life. It's more than just a collection of information that comes out as a song. It's really more than that. It's part of who we are as people. And that's why music is so important to certain people. That's why I guess maybe it's unimportant to others. That's really, to me, that's what music education's about. It's not so much about learning the history of composers, or it's really has a lot to do with who you are as a person and the community that you're living in, and the whole host of things. And I think jazz is particularly unique because it allows for individual expression. In fact, it not only allows for it, it demands it. It's pretty hard to play jazz without some kind of individual opinion that you might have. So that's kind of my little thought. Let's take a look at Night and Day for a second here. So, interesting tune. I'm just going to play real simple. Kind of tangled in my wire here. So, there we go. Okay. So this is starts in the key of C. Melody is G. By the way, most songs are always going to start on the root third or fifth, or root third or fifth, almost always. So I mean, easily 75% of the time. So you can kind of guess if you want a starting note, it's going to be one of those. But an interesting melody starts on D minor 7 flat 5, and then it goes to C major. That would be the sharp 5. Typically, we would think that would go to a minor key. So that's one of the odd things about Cole Porter. It can be very annoying when you see a chord like that. Now, I kind of like this voicing: root, third, flat fifth, seventh, and then the melody is the G. So that's the 11. I like that sound on the piano. I just prefer it. But block chord: D, F, A flat, C, D minor 7 flat 5, G7 in second inversion, just for now. 6, A7. Now, C sharp minor 7, flat 5, C minor, F minor, pardon me. What did I say? F sharp minor 7, flat 5, F minor 7, E minor 7, E flat diminished. Isn't that interesting, that sound? Again, Cole Porter, that's an interesting Cole Porter sound. You wouldn't typically think of a D natural together with a E flat diminished chord, except for the fact that if you look at the scale, the the diminished scale, it has the D natural in it. So the bridge is D minor. Now I'm playing, you can play, this is C major, major 7. You could add the A, with have that 13, take out the 5th in the left hand. That sounds, and then it does it again. Here's another voicing. Root 7th, flat at 9th, 3rd. Now, instead of the root position, right, I'm using the shell voicing, getting rid of those, moving these notes up here. Also, you could play C here, or I think that's better because you end up on a C. Now here's, again, interesting thing about Cole Porter, very unusual, the bridge. 2, 5, 1 goes to E flat. Not many songs go from one key up a minor third. That's pretty unusual. Night and day. When the melody, and when you have the tonic in the melody, best to play, in general, the 6th and the 9th. It gives it some color rather than the major 7. It's not going to sound that great. Also, this pattern here, you hear that often, this descending chromatic line as an ending. Very common to hear that chord pattern starting on the tritone. And you could do this, or you could use the tritone substitution because D flat major, right? So either one of those works. Now, here's the shell voicing, right? How about thinking about fourths? That's kind of interesting. So I have the 3rd of the chord up here, and I have the 4th here. Isn't that pretty? That has a very optimistic kind of quality to it. It's not too low on the piano. And then A flat. Why A flat? It's kind of a reverse tritone substitution. D flat, up a 5th, A flat. So D flat 7 and A flat minor 6 are really kind of the same chord. D flat 7, right? If I take the notes of that chord and I take the F, right, and put it up here, they're almost interchangeable in a way. All right, let's play it for real. So there's night and day. Here, listen to this voicing here. Now listen. What did I do there? Well, I'm stacking diminished 7 chords. Here's E flat diminished in root position, nothing fancy. And in the right hand, I have a diminished 7 chord also, a whole step above it. That's kind of a fun thing to do when you're playing. The other option with possibly is you can juxtapose a chord, maybe a half step. That's a possibility, but also this sound here, when D minor 7 flat 5, there's a lot of different scales that are kind of suggested here, or with G in the bass. What's that? That's a G Locrian. So it's the A flat major scale. It's starting on the 7th note G. That's a possibility. Or how about this? How about this? These are 2 stacked harmonic minor harmonic triads. That's kind of fun. Or what would that be? That's Phrygian. That's G Phrygian. Is that G Phrygian? That would be G Phrygian with the D natural. Right? So that's 3 flats as opposed to 4 flats. So a lot of possibilities exist there. So there's night and day. Let me write out a few of these chords. So D minor 7 flat 5, 4 counts. Da da da, G7, da 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 da, C major 7. All 4 counts, and that does it again. Da 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 da, G7, da 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 da. Second time it's just C, okay. Then you have that descending F sharp, minor 7 flat 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, pretty much 4 counts, F minor 7, E minor 7, E flat, diminished 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So that's kind of just roughly. It's not perfectly written out. So, but D minor 7 flat 5, G7, C major 7, A7. Same thing again. Stay on the C. I did this before. That was kind of just a walking up the scale with the chromatic. F sharp minor 7 flat 5, F minor 7, E minor 7, A, E flat diminished 7, D minor 7, G7, C. Now the bridge. 2, 5, 1, for the most part, in E flat. F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7, and it does it again. That's a repeat sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, and C, and that does it again, and then this whole bit does it again. I don't do that again. I just play E flat there the second time. And then the ending is like we saw before with that descending. Melody is a bit different. Instead of doing this, it doesn't stay in the same measure. It goes up to a different register. Chromatic down. No, instead of going down to the B, it goes up to the B. Notice I just kind of grab clusters of notes sometimes, and just to kind of keep the sound fresh. A lot of these voicings kind of defy identification, precise identification. You just have to kind of hear the textures and kind of feel. I mean, I don't even know what that is necessarily, right? I mean, look, what is that? I don't know. It's just, but I like it. I kind of like it, and depending on the situation of the piano, I might shift around a bit. But that's kind of an example of like a Cole Porter tune that's just, to me, it's looks easier than it really is. It's a little trickier, but has that nice chromaticism in it. Has a lot of opportunities even for some tritone substitutions, and I'm not sure what else I could say about it, but you could play it as a Latin tune, you could play it as a swing tune, and but what I was going to say is that I think when I learn music, I'm not really learning notes, I'm not really learning chords or songs. What I'm doing, I think, is kind of reaffirming a belief system that I have, an ethic. It's a way of life. It's a lot more than just practicing notes. It has to do with one's identity, and that's really why music's so valuable and so beautiful, and why so many people, still, despite the fact that there's no commercial promise or reward, we still want to be involved, we still want to play, we still want to teach, we still want to learn, we still want to explore and share with other people, because it's just so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful thing, and the fact that someone like Cole Porter left so many songs for us to play throughout our life is just marvelous. It's just, I mean, I can't imagine the world ever being without the song Night and Day. And yet, the world was without it for most of the world's history, up until about 1930 or so, and then Cole Porter wrote that song. But, to me, that's a real test of whether or not something is a great work of art, because it almost sounds like it's always been here, and it will always be here, and we couldn't possibly live without it. At least that's how I feel about that song. So, and when you play with other people, well, now you have a group of people that all have a different vantage point on that song, and they're all coming together. There's sort of a nexus of ideas, and they're all coming together, and that's the beauty of that moment of expression, that moment of jazz, is that you have something that ignites and that's unique, and it's a celebration of humanity. It's a celebration of the part of us that is music. I mean, you are music. I am music. That's we had. There's something in us that we need to uncover, something that already is there that we're uncovering, and that's what's really going on. So I'm not too sure what else I'm going to share, but I might do a little more playing. I will say it is important not to neglect. We're getting on the mundane stuff, but it is important not to neglect one's technique exercises and stretching exercises. I've covered some of those things, and I'll cover more of those, in future. But just really having a system of practicing where, when you're sitting down, maybe a third of your time or a quarter of your time is spent on those things. So, and having some type of system that you're organizing your practice. You have some rationale, so it's not just completely chaotic, so it's not overwhelming, right? When, just as a simple tip, when you're practicing scales and fingering, it's nice to maybe divide the scales into groups where those that start on white keys and those that start on black keys, let's say. I mean, that's just one way to approach it. So anyway, let's just do a little more playing. So there you are. Hope you guys have a good week. It's maybe a slightly shorter show this week, but hey, I'll see you next time, and drop me a line if you have something to say. Take care.